Hello, welcome. My name is Nicole Lutzenbauer. I am the Vice President of Human Resources for Regency Senior Communities. Today are going to go over your new hire orientation. It's a pleasure that you decided to join your career here at Regency. And so today we are going to talk about our policies, our employment policies, as well as time off, promotional opportunities, safety, our work rules. If you notice, this is the picture of me so that while you're listening, you can put a name and a face. I am the HR person along with Curtis Coffin for all three Regency campuses. So we may meet in the near future so you can get an idea of who we are and what we do for you. So then the first thing we want to talk about is what is Regency, what our values are, who we are, and how we started. In 1989, we embarked upon a mission of creating caring communities to help seniors maintain independence and a superior quality of life. We're proud to be the only Waukesha County family of senior communities owned and operated by ProHealthCare, who is the leading provider of healthcare in Waukesha County since 1914. Our mission is caring. So our mission is to create caring communities providing a superior quality of life for seniors above the age of 62 by offering a continuum of care in services and in programming within the most desired and least restrictive environment, thus allowing an individual to age in place with dignity. We have standards of services. Our standards include respect for resident individuality, a dedication to personalized, cost-effective quality care, a respect for resident independence, a response to resident choice in care and lifestyle decision-making, a respect for resident right of privacy, a program of services that nurses the body, the mind, and the spirit, a respect for resident dignity, a caring plan process that involves resident, family, friends, a safe and secure resident environment, and a residence that serves the surrounding community with its programming and creates an environment that is viewed as a valuable asset to the area at large. So our available services, most likely you are working in one of these following departments. We have health services, which makes up of a health director, nurse supervisors, and CNAs. We have a housekeeping department that residents can opt to pay for services for light housekeeping. We also have a full lifestyles department that includes van drivers, lifestyle coordinators, and assistants to do the different programs and activities for our residents. And then we also have food services. So we have a full operating kitchen that would have cooks, waitstaff, and dishwashers. So we have lots of different things going on, services to give our residents. As mentioned before, we have 3 locations: New Berlin, Brookfield, and Muskego. If you're ever interested in making a transfer to any one of those locations, you would certainly give us a call and we would work that with you. But you definitely would want to maybe check it out while your employment here, because they are about 15 minutes apart from each other, New Berlin being the center location, so about 15 minutes from New Berlin to Brookfield and 15-20 minutes from New Berlin to Muskego. So the first thing that's really important that you have to know as an employee is the Fair Housing Act. What is the Fair Housing Act? What that is the government says that we cannot discriminate based on certain characteristics as far as renting out apartments. And the federal government says we cannot discriminate based on race, national origin, color, religion, gender, family status, and disability. The state of Wisconsin says that we cannot discriminate based on sexual orientation, marital status, age, lawful source of income, ancestry, status of victim, domestic abuse, sexual assault, or stalking. And so why am I telling you all of this? Well, hopefully you're pretty excited to be an employee at the Regency, and you've told a few people that you are going to be working here. And some questions may come up of, well, what kind of people live there? What kind of people can live there? So they may not come out and say how many white or black or Hispanic people live there, but they may ask you just general questions. And under fair housing, you cannot answer those questions. You can't say who lives here and the type of demographics. So any question that sounds familiar or even close to being a women to men ratio or anything like that, you can't answer, and you should direct those type of questions to upper management. So just be aware of that. Regency is an equal opportunity employer. We do not discriminate based on the age. Oh, I don't know why this, sorry about that. Based on age, race, creed, color, handicap, marital status, sex, national origin, ancestry, membership in the National Guard, State Defense Force, or any reserve component of the military forces, United States. And basically this applies to recruiting, employment, training, transfers, promotions, educational opportunities, compensation, and all other employment decisions. So just know that if you have the right skill set for the job, we are going to hire you for that position, and we will transfer you to that position. We're going to pay everybody fairly. If you feel that there is some sort of discrimination taking place at your campus, please contact Human Resources, and we will definitely look into that for you. We also abide by the Americans with Disabilities Act, so we offer equal opportunity employment for qualified individuals who may have a physical or mental disability but can still perform the essential functions of the job. This may require reasonable accommodation if the accommodation does not provide an undue hardship on the organization. So again, please contact HR if you have any questions regarding that, or if you feel that you need a special accommodation made for you to do your job. We have an overall general quality policy, and that policy states that every member is expected to maintain positive communication with everyone they encounter. Our workplace contains a cooperative effort, mutual respect, trust, universal leadership, teamwork, high performance standards, and continuous improvement. We realize that our residents are the reason for our existence, and we strive to please them at all times. We also have to abide by confidentiality laws. As some of you may know, it's the HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability Act. So note that all files, notes, documents, discussions, policies, and procedures are confidential. All of these private property are confidential to the Regency, and no employee is permitted to share or remove this type of information from the company. The other thing to keep in mind is when you're having conversations with your coworkers about the residents, you want to make sure that you are in a secure location where no one can overhear your conversation. So you certainly would not want to talk about residents in hallways or elevators and things like that that you're in an earshot of somebody else overhearing you. We also have a code of business ethics that we ask all employees to abide by, which is comply with all government laws and regulations and performance of their jobs. We also ask all records must be recorded accurately in compliance with all legal requirements and generally accepted accounting principles where applicable. So make sure that if anything that you are documenting inaccurately. You will be asked from time to time to fill out paperwork documenting incidents that happen with the residents. Make sure that you are accurately indicating everything that happened and that you don't leave anything out. Employment. For those of you that full-time, you're considered full-time if you work over 32 hours in a work week. Anybody else working less than 32 hours is considered part-time. Everyone's work schedule is going to vary, so please see your supervisor regarding your work schedule. As far as clocking in and out and reporting your hours, employees are paid for exact time. You're going to clock in and out using our ADP time clock that's mounted at each of the campuses. If you do work from campus to campus, you can clock in and out at each of the campuses. We do ask employees to clock in 5 minutes before their scheduled shift and clock out about 5 minutes after their scheduled shift. So for example, if you're supposed to be scheduled to work at 6:30, you would clock in at about 6:25. The reason being is we are a 24/7 operation, and you are going to be receiving information from the person leaving so that they can give you that information. And then when you leave, you're going to be leaving a couple minutes late so that you can give that information to the next shift. So it's all about communicating to the next shift what's going on with the residents. So that is why you'll want to make sure that you're ready and able to work, not exactly at 6:30, but a few minutes beforehand. And again, we are paying you exactly for every minute that you do work. We have breaks and meal policies. Employees who work 6 hours or more a day, you will receive 30 minutes of paid lunch. You have to remain on the campus and you have to be available to work. So if you leave the campus, you must punch in and out for this break, and you will not be paid for that time. The reason being is because you are taking care of people. The residents are your job as far as taking care of them or feeding them, and you may need to be interrupted during your break time. So that is why we pay you for that time. If you are not available to work during your break time, that is why we would not be paying you for it. So that's your lunch break. Other than a lunch break, you do receive 2 10-minute breaks if you work in an 8-hour shift. It would only be 1 10-minute break if you work 4 hours in a shift. Employees are also able to purchase meals from the company at a very significantly reduced rate. So please see your campus about that if you're interested in eating what the residents are eating at that time. Most people want to know, when and how am I going to get paid, right? So for all the hard work that you've done, we are going to pay you for those services every other Friday. Pay periods start on Sunday and they end on the following Saturday. So we pay you for every 2 weeks, every other Friday. Overtime is paid for hours worked over 40 in a work week, and it is work time. So if you take vacation during that week, that's not counted as work time. And employees may be eligible for short notice pay when the situation warrants it. We will certainly let you know, and your supervisor will let you know when you have that option to get short notice pay. Time off. For those of you that are 32 hours or more, we do give vacation. That is awarded after 90 days of being with the company. All vacation must be approved by your supervisor. It is a use or lose benefit unless approved for carryover. We really do want employees to take vacation, and so that is why we don't pay it out. And we do really strongly encourage you to use that benefit. Everybody needs to take a break. We also award PTO for anyone working 32 hours or more. That again is awarded 90 days after their anniversary date. PTO is you are allowed to carry that over up to a maximum amount, and see the handbook for that particular amount. Time off for holidays. We are awarded New Year's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas Day. Employees who are scheduled 32 hours in a work week will receive 8 hours of holiday pay. All employees, regardless of status, will receive overtime for the hours that they work that day. So if you are a part-time wait staff working 4 hours, working the 4 to 7 shift, you will receive time and a half for that shift on any of these holidays. So it is a good thing if you are somebody that doesn't really care about a certain holiday. You may want to sign up for that holiday to work to get time and a half. I will tell you this, there are certain departments that have a holiday rotation that you are obligated to work every other holiday. The health staff, They are assigned colored shifts, so you'll want to see what holiday that you're assigned to. It's on a rotation basis, so you'll never have to work the same holiday year after year. It's actually done quite fairly. And the same thing with the front desk employees. There's a rotation basis. Pretty much all of them have some sort of rotation. Bereavement leave, upon the death of an immediate family member, employees can get 3 days paid for attendance of a funeral, and that would be for spouse, children, parents, brothers and sisters, and grandparents. And hopefully none of you will have to take part of this benefit, but it is available to you in case. Jury duty. Full and part-time employees who are required to serve on a jury duty will receive regular rate of pay, less any fees paid by the court. Employees are required to submit proof. Employees serving on jury duty will be required to report promptly for work during any day in which services as jury do not require presence in court. So just kind of keep in mind, if they ask you to be there all day and they let you go at lunchtime, you are required to come to work the rest of the day and complete your shift. Uniform services leave. In most cases, employees who are required to take a leave of absence for the purpose of serving in the uniformed service and National Guard will be granted leave of absence as provided by the law. Advance notice of the leave of absence is required, and the employee will be eligible for reinstatement under the provisions of the law. Again, this is something that you're going to contact Human Resources if it applies to you. Family medical leave. State and federal leave allows employees to take leave of absence for the employee's own serious health condition, to care for a spouse, parent, child with serious health condition, for the birth or placement of a child, or adoption or foster care, and then also to care for covered service member who is recovering from a serious illness or injury sustained in the line of duty. If something like this applies to you, you're going to certainly give HR a call, and we will give you all the necessary paperwork and talk you through the process. If you have another need to be gone from work but doesn't qualify under family medical leave, the company does have a personal leave of absence that you may qualify for. So this type of leave is for those who don't qualify for FMLA and are for compelling personal reasons. We will give you 3 to 30 days of a personal leave of absence, and that is at the sole discretion of the RSC administrator. Again, you will contact us if you have questions or if you need this particular leave. Compensation as far as benefits go. Benefits are awarded first of the month following 60 days. Health, dental, and vision, you have to work 30 hours or more every week. 401k, it's 20 hours a week. But we won't go into a lot of the detail about the benefits since not all of you are eligible for it, but details on the benefits can be found on the ADP resource page. So make sure you look at that and give us a call if you do have questions. So most of the benefits are for 30 hours a week. 401k, like I said, is 20 hours a week. If for some chance you're hired as part-time and then in the last year you end up working full-time, we do, during open enrollment period, offer those who qualify insurance for the following year, and it's an average of 30 hours a week. So if you do end up, if you start with us part-time and somehow become full-time, you will be eligible for those type of benefits. Very few of you will be eligible for travel and expenses, but in case you are, employees are reimbursed for specific travel and other expenses when appropriate. Travel on the Regency's business must be approved in advance. Tuition reimbursement. So we do have a great promotional opportunity program within the company. Tuition reimbursement is part of that. Upon approval for courses that are job related, we will reimburse you. We do have a great CNA program right now where if you are somebody that wants to become a CNA but you don't have your license, the company will pay for you to go back to school to take that class to be CNA certified. In addition to that, if there are other courses that you feel are relevant to your job, you would submit that to your manager and then HR for approval, and then you could take those classes. We also do performance evaluations. We do those after 90 days when you're first hired. And then after that, we do it on an annual basis. There are a lot of opportunities within the 3 campuses. I highly recommend that you look on the Regency's website to take a look at what positions that are open within the company. We have people who have moved from front desk to marketing or front desk to lifestyles, wait staff to CNA. We've done all kinds of different transfers and promotions, so this is a great place to start a career. In addition to that, we also have training that all employees must attend. So new hire orientation is one training you have to attend, which you're doing right now. There will be other modules of new hire orientation that you will have to view. Each department will have their own webinar that they will host that you will need to view. Up to 12 additional in-services per year for some of you for additional training. So most of the CNAs will have to do additional training up to 12 times a year. 1 a month is usually on average for training. Some of the other positions, it's every couple of months. There is an annual in-service calendar that's posted on ADP that has the dates and times and locations. So you are going to want to check that out so you make sure that you attend all your required training. I kind of already alluded to it already, but promotions and transfers, we do encourage that. So take a look at the company website for all the open positions. The other thing to note is employees receive a bonus for anyone they refer that ends up being hired. So if those of you that really do love working here and you want to bring your family and friends aboard, let them know, and when they apply, have them put your name down as a reference, and you will be paid a bonus for doing so. Safety. Safety comes first. That is the top thing when you're working at the Regency. We want to make sure that you take care of yourself and the residents. When applicable, make sure you always use personal protective equipment. So that would be in the kitchen that you're using the right gloves and handling procedures. Same thing with the CNAs. If you have, you're making sure that you're doing the right lifting procedures. If you do happen to injure yourself by the end of your shift, we do ask that that is reported. If it's a serious injury, you want to make sure that you go to the health office and they can help triage, and then they may need to send you out to Concentra for additional care. But for sure you will want to make sure that somebody reports it so that we can notify the workers' comp carrier. The big thing to note is reporting it protects you. If you don't report something immediately, then there may be a red flag and your work comp claim might not be paid. So if you do happen to bend over and you bump your knee, or you hit your head, or you cut your finger, make sure you record that. You let somebody know, you fill out the paperwork. Odds are it might not be anything serious, but a cut could lead to an infection, and an infection could lead to Lord knows what. So make sure you at least have it recorded so that you're protected in the case that the work comp has to pay for any medical claims down the road. In addition to just safety, we have crisis management. The company does fire drills. We have tornado things that we do, and general building security. So make sure that you are a part of those drills. It's very important that everybody knows what they need to do and what their role is when the time comes if a fire happens. So make sure that you get with your campus administrator about the crisis management for your campus. Visitors and callers. We have a lot of people coming and going at the campus. We ask that all employees be mindful of visitors. So you want to keep in mind that there may be occasion when somebody enters the campus under false pretenses. All visitors must sign in and out. Ultimately, we are here to protect the residents. You're going to eventually come to know some of the families and the friends that come and go. You will start seeing some faces that don't look familiar. If you notice that somebody's knocking on each individual door and trying to sell something to the resident, or if they're just doing something kind of shady, let the campus administrator know. because we are here to protect them and we don't want anybody taking advantage of our residents. A lot of salespeople, it tends to be an issue when they come in and try to solicit business to our residents. On the flip side, we want to be mindful that people are watching you at all times. So put your best foot forward. The residents are retired. Some of them like to pay attention on what's going on in their surroundings. You're a new person, so they're going to be watching you. You're kind of like their little soap opera. So just make sure that when you're, walking around the halls and in the elevator that you do present yourself in a professional manner. The company has a very strict substance abuse policy. We prohibit the possession or use of alcohol or drugs on company premises while working. The company reserves the right to test for illegal drugs or alcohol if there's reasonable suspicion. So that's pretty self-explanatory. So we're going to start talking about some of our rules. The big thing that we come into play is attendance. You are taking care of a person, and so your attendance is very important. We are a 24/7 operation. If you don't show up to your shift at any time, that is a trickle-down effect for your coworkers and the residents. Everybody's role is key and crucial, and we do need everyone to be there. It's not like it's a factory, and if you don't show up, that particular product isn't produced. Here is if you don't show up to work, that resident isn't receiving care. That resident is not receiving their food or not getting their food on time. So it's really important what you do. With that being said, we ask that all employees report absences at least within 2 hours prior to their shift if that's possible. We also ask employees to ask off as soon as possible. So if you know that you have a cousin so-and-so's wedding 6 months from now, let us know now so that we can plan ahead and we can have someone in your spot so that you can attend those type of events. Anytime that you do a no call or no show, meaning you don't call, you tell your supervisor that you're coming in, or you just don't show up for your shift, the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to call your emergency contact to make sure that you're okay. Your safety and well-being is very important to us. Once we call that person and we still don't hear from you, we're assuming that you're quitting. So if you don't want to quit, make sure that you communicate with your supervisor why you're not coming into the office. The other rule that we have is there is no smoking on the premises. So make sure that you, if you are a smoker, that you do not do that on the campus. The reason being is a lot of our employees and residents cannot be around smoke. Some of our residents are on oxygen, so it's very important for their safety and well-being that no one smokes. In addition to no smoking, we have a no tolerance bullying anti-harassment policy. Harassment in the workplace based on the person's race, sex, religion, national origin, age, height, weight, marital status, disability will not be tolerated. Sexual harassment of any kind will not be tolerated either. So if you or someone you work with is being harassed, please contact Human Resources. We also have a non-fraternization policy. Employees are prohibited from having personal relationships with any clients or person who lives or works in a property managed by the company. The employee may not engage in a personal relationship with another employee who is his or her subordinate or supervisor. So we don't want a girlfriend reporting to a boyfriend as far as being a supervisor and a boss and an employee. On the flip side, residents, we really want to limit the amount of fraternization that you do with them. We encourage you to chat with the residents, get to know the residents, but there is a slippery slope when it comes to that. There's a fine line between being concerned and knowing about their life and then getting too involved. So we do ask employees to refrain from being Facebook friends with residents, telling too much of personal information. We we've had in the past where employees get too involved and residents are showing up to personal events. They're very nice and kind people, and some of them can be lonely, and so you just want to make sure that that line is not crossed. The other thing is you don't want to give too much personal information regarding your finances or family life, because really they're in retirement. They should be able to enjoy their golden years, and they really don't need to be worried about any problems and things that you have going on in your life. So keep any conversations you have with them to be very light, the weather, sporting things. Try to stick away from religion and politics. Everyone's, says keep that out of conversation. But, you can care and find out how about their day, but just make sure that you don't cross that line with the residents. If a personal relationship develops with parties listed above, please make sure that you contact Human Resources and we will assist you further. Especially if there's a dating situation, we just may transfer you to a different department and whatnot. We also do know that sometimes family members of residents become employees. In those type of situations, it's okay if your grandma or grandpa live at the Regency and now you work at the Regency, and that's fine. We're just talking about people that have had no relationship prior to starting and are not related as far as getting too far with the residents. Conflict of interest. This is a big one. No employee may accept cash, non-cash, non-edible gifts or loans from residents, family, and friends. No employee may have any substantial financial interest in any vendor or supplier that offers goods or services of a kind the employee may be responsible for selecting or recommending. No employee may use inside information gained as a result of his or her position and not generally available to the public for personal gain. The big thing to note on this is non-edible gifts. There are going to be times where there be a resident who maybe bakes some cookies or want to give you some candy. That's okay. You may want to make sure that you know it's right. You're receiving it from the right resident. Sometimes residents in their cleanliness is not always there. So you might want to, before you start taking and eating things, you might want to figure out what resident would be appropriate to do that with. We say non-edible gifts too, because let's say you get to know a resident and they really think you're a great person and they give you this mug or a picture or whatever. They might want to give that to you and you may think it's harmless, but then they may forget that they gave that to you and then they're going to accuse you of taking that item. So just make sure that you don't accept any sort of gifts at all from the residents, and you can just simply say that it's against company policy to receive anything. So when talking about rules, you obviously have to talk about what happens if you break the rules. And so we have a disciplinary action process. Rule infractions may warrant a 3-step process, so you may get a verbal warning first, a written warning. You may be suspended pending discharge. The organization reserves the right to skip or repeat any of the above steps. And we view disciplinary action as a means of correcting problem situations to enhance your employment relationship and to keep employees informed of their standing within an organization. We don't like disciplining people just for the sake of disciplining people. We want to make sure that you understand our policies and the reasons why we have the rules that we do have. Note that a verbal warning will be in writing. So there are going to be some coaching opportunities that your manager talks to you about that you may not get something in writing, and that's okay. You're going to be new to the position. You're not going to be perfect at your job. We aren't going to immediately write you up or discipline you. We are going to work with you. We're going to provide you the training so that you know how to do your job to the best of your ability. We also have a complaint resolution. Employees who have a problem or complaint question are encouraged to discuss it freely with their immediate supervisor. After the immediate supervisor, employees should contact the next chain of command in this order. So it would be your department director, then campus administrator, then Human Resources, and then ultimately the RSC Administrator. The RSC Administrator's name is Deb Bertikiti, and she is located at the New Berlin campus. There may be a time where you may have to skip the chain of command and go right to Human Resources if you have issues with the campus administrator or the department director, and that's totally appropriate when the situation warrants it. But if it's for minor infractions, we do ask that you follow the chain of command. We have bulletin boards at all of the campuses, most likely in your break room. It's the responsibility of all employees to read bulletin boards on a regular basis. No one is permitted to post or remove items on the bulletin board unless authorized by management. You'll also want to make sure that you look into ADP on a regular basis, since ADP has postings of what's going on with the company as well. This is a huge rule right here, telephones and cell phones. Regency telephones are to be used only for the organization's business. The possession and use of personal cell phones, personal phone cameras, PDAs, iPods, MP3 players, the iPhone watch, any electronics really, is prohibited in the workplace at all times. All personal equipment of this nature is to be left outside of the facility in one's vehicle or checked at the front desk for safekeeping during the work shift. Now, on the flip side, if someone needs to get a hold of you, you can always give your work number out. They can call the front desk, and then they can page you or take down a message, and then you can call them back when you have a moment to do so. So make sure you leave your cell phones in your car, or we have a checkout point at the front desk. We have little stations where you can leave your phone, and then you can pick it up when you're ready to leave. This is a very strict rule that we do not bend on at all. So if you are seen with your phone, you will most likely get some sort of disciplinary action taken against you. The reason being is for privacy, a lot of these phones and devices have cameras, and per HIPAA, we cannot take any pictures or post anything of the residents. This is a protection not only against them, but of you as well, so that there is no accusations that you've taken any pictures of them. The other thing to note is while at work, you should not be on any sort of social media website, and I find that these type of devices just are too tempting, and people will go on Facebook or Twitter or whatever if they have their phones on them. If there are downtimes, that's when we ask employees to chit-chat with the residents, make sure that all their needs are being taken care of. If you need to, again, go to your car to make a phone call, that would be on your break time, and then that's when you would punch out. Anytime that you leave the premises is when you would punch out. So just be aware of that. You do have access to your employee records, so personnel file is maintained for each of you at the campus. It is the obligation of employees to update your current address, phone number, and emergency contact information in ADP. We do try to save some trees by not collecting it all on paper. Employees are permitted to review your personnel file and medical, employment, environmental records consistent with the law. We usually ask you to put that request in writing, and we have up to 7 days to give you a copy of that file. Termination of employment. We ask that everyone, if you're no longer interested in being employed with the company, we do ask for a 2-week notice. We ask for that notice to be put in writing. We understand that not everybody is going to work here until they're retired. Most of you probably will not. It's not going to hurt any of our feelings if you don't want to continue your employment, but we do ask for professional common courtesy of a 2-week notice. I know a lot of people just stop showing up to work, and when you do that, you're putting the residents' care at jeopardy. So please, just let us know that you want to end your employment, and we will work out an exit strategy with you. All property that you receive from us should be returned. Any unused vacation is paid out to you after 18 months of service. It's only vacation, not PTO. And benefits terminate at the end of the month that you terminate. So if you terminate November 3rd, your benefits would terminate November 30th. Continuing with different work rules, solicitation and distribution. In order to prevent disruption of operations and interference of work, no employee is permitted to solicit for any cause or distribute literature of any kind during his or her working time or non-working time. This excludes legal activity covered by the National Labor Relations Board. Regency property. The company reserves the right to inspect employee lockers, desks, and other company property. Employees are encouraged to leave personal items at home. The other thing to note is, as far as inspection, we also have the right to view anything that you're doing on any computers of ours. So make sure you're not doing anything that you wouldn't want your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa to see. We do have a dress code. The dress code varies based on the department that you work for. In general, we want professional attire. We ask that you wear your identification badge. You can see the full list of guidelines in the handbook. Employees who receive uniforms most likely will be like the health service folks. They're required to keep them neat and clean, and they must be returned upon termination of employment. Communication policy, so email, voicemail, or other information systems are not to be used in any way that may be illegal, disruptive, or offensive to others. Employees are not allowed to install software on Regency computers. They must have passwords that are safe and secure. And again, the corporate IT has access and may view everything. This is the moment where I thank you for your attention and your time. If you have any questions about anything that we've talked about today, certainly call the Human Resource Department at 414-254-8116, or you can email us at hr@wimmerbrothers.com. Generally speaking, the email is probably the quickest way to get a hold of us, just because we are at the various locations all throughout the day at different times. Again, thank you, and I hope to see you all soon.